In this video, we will learn how you can move table from one schema to another schema. And when you do that, we also may want to make sure that any dashboard which is based on any column from that table that you want to move should still work fine without any problem. If you follow the best practice in terms of designing your dashboard, it will work fine. So let me show you how it will work. Let's do one thing. Let's create a new schema from scratch, and then we will move table from that schema to another schema. So I have this Northwind sample data in MySQL database, and this is the one here. In the data source, you can see this Northwind connects to MySQL database. So this is what we are going to use to bring in data from this database. So let's go ahead and run the schema wizard. For now, let me go and select all the tables. Click on next. Let's bring in referential integrity as well. And let's create the schema. When I look at this diagram, I see that all these tables with joins, everything created in Encarta. All we need to do now is load data in this schema. So let's go ahead and do a full load. Now let's create a small dashboard where I want to see count of orders by a city. So you have city here in customers table, and then you have order ID here, right? It's a pretty simple query, but at least using this use case, we will do a scenario where we'll create a dashboard, and later on we'll move orders table from here to another schema, and then the dashboard should still work. And what all things you need to do, we'll see this in this flow. So as I mentioned, always create a new business schema before you create a dashboard. So let's create a new business schema, and let's create a new view. Let's bring in order ID from order table. And let's bring in city from customers table. Okay, let's keep it simple. We're going to just have these two here. Okay, now let's save this. Click on explore data. Let's create a simple insight where I just want to see by city number of orders. And they should be count. And I can also bring it here. So this is orders descending. So I can say which city is placing more number of orders. Let's save this, and let's call this number of orders by city. All right, so now if if you look back here in the query plan, everything is coming from one schema, right? Orders table, customers table, pretty simple query. Now let's go ahead and move orders table from this schema to other schema, okay? And then this dashboard should still work. Now I want to make sure that whatever the field name is here, remember this, okay? So let's open this, and we have this in front of us, okay? All right, so let's go ahead and go to Northwind schema, and let's go ahead and delete this table. So if you look at this diagram here, once I delete it, this orders table will be gone, all the joins will be gone, okay? Let's go ahead and delete this. Now if we go back to diagram, orders table is gone, it's no longer there, right? But I can bring in this table in another schema and recreate those joins, because in Encarta, a cross schema join is allowed, which is pretty cool. So let's create a new, let's actually do a schema wizard again. It will be easier. Let's call it Northwind extended and use the same data source. And this time I just want to bring in order table. Go to next, create schema. And then let's load this table. So we have orders table here, and all the other tables are there in other schema. Now we can recreate those joins again manually, right? So for example, here, since right now I only care about the dashboard that should work, so I need to make sure this is joined to customer table. So this is the only join I'm going to create now. Of course, I can create other joins as well so that everything works the way it was working earlier. So where's customer table? Right here. Bring in customer ID and then done. Okay, that's all this is, right? So if I click on diagram, I can see this join between customers table and orders table. And if I go back to original schema here and click on diagram, I will see that I can see this join is there. Of course, I can create other joins between orders, order details, and all those stuff. Pretty easy to do that. But let's focus on this use case. Now, if I go back to this business schema, let's click on edit. But before I do that, let me quickly go back to this dashboard that we just created, where number of, so this is undefined field in report, right? Of course, we'll get this error because the table is gone. Now let's edit this. So where is so here city is still there in the same schema, this column, same table, but this is now in a different schema. So let's remove this and let's bring in Northwind extension, and from here all we need is order ID. Bring order ID here. So the column name here is still same, hasn't changed, right? All what has changed here is completely different schema it's pointing to. Click on done. Now if I go back and refresh this dashboard, this should work fine. So this is how you can move table from one schema to another schema, and if you are building dashboard on top of business schema, you can add that field again from new schema, pointing to the in the business schema. That field should point to the that particular attribute in business schema should point to the field in the new table, a new schema. Hope this helps.